What's going on, boys? Welcome to a ladder battle series. We got Larva down here in the bottom right hand corner, Motive in the top left, and I'll make you guys a deal. All right, here's the deal. I heard this first game was quite good, and if it really is a fantastic game, we'll watch all of the games in this series, as there are a few. Don't like that deal? Take it up with my manager. We've got what looks like a Forge Fast expand coming here from Motive. I've been kind of lacking on Motive games lately. I haven't seen him play for a while. Larva has been really active. He's been playing in Pro League almost every day. And so I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of what he is capable of and where he's at right now, but I'm not sure about Motive. Like, Larva has been kicking butt lately. He's been getting wins where I really didn't think he would be able to, and showing up kind of more than I expected, and that's really awesome to see. Really good to see Larva playing well. He's one of my favorite players of all time. Such a interesting character and just a fun overall guy to watch. So I'm glad to see him doing well. Look at this. Gonna fake it out. Pretending to send the drone scout. Comes back in for the hatchery here at the natural. He's gonna make 6 lings and try to put on some pressure early. Probably force a second cannon. Yeah, maybe he actually gets away with this. No second cannon here. Just to throw down the gateway. That's pretty darn good for Motive. If he can get away with that, he's definitely going to be feeling very good. He's going to make his Nexus and then potentially a gateway here right after. With 6 lings heading straight across the map, it's probably a good idea to make to pull some probes. At least like 1 or 2 extra probes. Motive being a little bit greedy here. Just gonna start the gateway now. Try to block. Okay, he pulled 2 extra probes. Pretty good movement here from Motive. Not losing any probes so far. And just gonna block the ramp. If Larva tries to run by, he's most likely gonna lose this stuff. So, oh, actually, you know what? Okay. It was able to fire there. 1 ling gets by into the main. That's not what you're looking for here as Larva. That's for sure. He was looking to slip multiple lings by, or at least get a few probes, but he only gets 1 ling in and 1 probe kill. Not a great start here for Larva. This could be quite a tough game for him. He's gone ahead and thrown down his hatchery at the center right. Gone are the days where Larva would consistently take a natural as his third and just try to, you know, get into a very fast hive and play, you know, 4 base. He's getting into the more recent meta and getting accustomed to it. I guess the ling went down. Makes sense. Hard to get any damage with just 1 ling. End up just losing it pretty much no matter what happens. So, not a surprise there. Hydra Den on the way here for Larva. Gonna try and get in. Maybe do a bit of a 973. Kind of hard to do when you're cross map. But this is a Forge first. So there is some potential here. Maybe he can get across and deal that damage. Maybe he can get in and take out Motive early, but a Zealot is already here at the 3rd base. Man, this does not feel good for Larva one bit. 2 drones pop out here at the 3rd. Those are going to have to be sent directly back to the natural because there's just no way to keep them alive. This probe still trying to run by here, still trying to get the information as to what's going on behind this, but Larva consistently denying that probe. Still, 2 Zealots cannot be disregarded forever. You eventually have to do something about that. And so he will bring the Lings together. Probe gonna slip by now. Oh, can he block with the drone? That's a pretty good block. And he does manage to block just long enough, it looks like, to where Motive is not going to know that Larva is building Hydras. That's pretty good. Actually keeping Motive out long enough for the Hydras to pop out. There's another cannon on the way, but no third safety cannon or anything like that. No third cannon for a safety cannon. 2 drones at the third and 1 Hydra here. This is going to be a very nice cleanup overall for Larva, most likely. Looks like he's going to get a really efficient trade here by just targeting down this Zealot. And we'll save the Overlord as well. No way to really kill that off. And that means that you got to build a lot of cannons. Can't really do anything about this aside from just build a ton of cannons to try and save yourself. 5 cannons, maybe 6 cannons should be enough, but will he allow those to come up? Is Larva gonna dive here on one of these cannons right off the bat? Looks like no. Making a hatchery behind this, so he's not 100% all in. Gotta save this Overlord. Bit of a shame that he's allowing that to move over towards the natural. Definitely a misrally there. Some small mistakes overall from Larva. Nothing huge, but it's allowing Motive to cut some corners. He actually cut one of these cannons. He killed one of his own cannons, or canceled his own cannon right as it was finishing, to try and optimize as best as he can, get as many gateways as he can out as quickly as possible. And he's even killing more Overlords. 2 Overlords have been killed already with just 2 Corsairs worth of damage. That's a little bit surprising. Larva sending a drone across the map. Definitely not what you want to do when you've only got 4 or 5 drones at your third base. Making sure that those are mining as quickly as possible is essential. +1 finished on these Zealots as well. Pretty much everything going wrong with this bust. It's not horribly wrong, but it's definitely not the way it's supposed to be. This is not how things were supposed to go. This was not the plan. Motive is going to have a really nice timing as he adds on more and more gateways. He's actually just building 4 gateway Zealot. Non-stop production. Looks like he will throw down some High Templars now, but he's planning to do a Zealot timing here to make sure that Larva can't really drone up too heavily. You can see Larva's just barely getting to kind of where he wants to be in terms of drone count. He'd like to get to about 45, but already Zealots are out, and looks like 5 Hydras died as well. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, that's a lot of Zealots. And Larva's going to have a hard time stopping that from coming over and just crushing him. In fact, there will be High Templars coming behind this too, potentially. They could just walk the High Templars out, because there's no way that Larva's going to have any extra units to try and snipe those down. Looks like he's just going to leave those High Templars back at home for now. Pulling the drones here, trying to get a bit of a drone drill on this, but not really getting too much damage there. Not really disrupting the Zealots too much. Meanwhile, another Zealot makes its way over to the third, and he loses the Overlord here as well. Now supply block. Larva is on the ropes. A Dark Archon is being made back at home, and a third base as well. So Motive not leaning on Larva as hard as maybe he could have. Like, he could have sent these DTs straight across the map and potentially tried to slip them in here at the third. Keep the pressure on and try to just end the game right now, but instead he's angling towards more of a mid-game timing. It looks like he wanted to put the pressure on, stop Larva from just making as many drones as he wants. And I think he's done that with relative effectiveness. Relatively effective with that play, but I don't know, maybe leaving something on the table there. Adding cannons now to this third base. And a fourth will have to be taken by Larva. Fire is now done. We could see a big Mutalisk transition, but that would play directly into the hands of Motive if he decides to go that route. He's already got Maelstrom energy, and Maelstrom is done. So, would be better maybe not to go for a Mutalisk Bloom. And in fact, it doesn't look like he's headed in that direction. Just extra Evo chambers and going straight into Hive. This is starting to look like a really big and potentially epic game here between Larva and Motive. I think Motive with a pretty decent, reasonable advantage, but Larva not out of it by any means. One Mutalisk being made. I think that might have been a misclick. Maybe wanted to make a pair of Scourge or something. Yeah, never really a great idea to make one Muta. There's only one situation where one Muta makes any sense. And that's when vessels have been plagued. You're going to go ahead and just snipe those down with one hit. Still a pretty rare situation. Doesn't really happen very often for the most part. This is a good setup here for the third base. Really battening down the hatches here. One Muta gonna go ahead and scout the army. I guess it's got some purpose here. At least he's making use out of it. Sunken colonies on the high ground. Gonna start to sunken up the natural as well. Motive is on the warpath, but behind this he could just keep taking bases. He doesn't have to attack. Doesn't really have any onus to attack. There's no reason for him to get hyper aggressive here, and I would like to see him pull back this Dark Archon too. No reason to have that on the front line. Only has 25 hit points, so it can go down super quick. Just go ahead and take this fourth base and force Larva to spread out a little bit further. He's going to be going into Hive, and with the triple upgrade, he's waiting on a breakpoint before moving forward, and that just gives Motive a lot of time. Like, Motive can do kind of whatever he wants for now. And taking more bases, setting up cannons on high ground, I think is a great idea. Like, if you go over to top right and build 6 cannons and a gateway and just start making High Templars up there, I feel like that's an amazing decision to just set yourself up for a later game. Looks like he's not going to do that for now. Instead, focusing on this battle, which, I mean, some of these storms are pretty good, but he's running very low on zealots, and there's going to be waves of lings coming out here soon. Alright, let's take a look at the upgrades. Still 0-0. 1-1 done for the Protoss army. Adrenal glands on the way. And we're going to have that Defiler Mound coming up here as well pretty soon. Pure Lurker and Ling army here from Larva. So really focusing on that late game army. Oh, almost able to get a kill on this Dark Archon. That would have been nice. Just getting rid of that unit. Can open up some interesting tech switches. Like, you could suddenly make a bunch of mutas come out here and snipe these High Templar and then surround the army and potentially wipe out that Dragoon force. Now, still moving back and forth. I think this is a reasonable idea from Motive because there's no pressure on him at all. He can keep taking bases behind this. And he wants to get value out of these Dragoons before we end up having Dark Swarm here. And it becomes much, much harder for those units to find any value. quite a lot of lurkers here behind the sunken colonies. Sunken colonies just tanking so many shots from these dragoons, and in fact he will be driven back again. Army coming up to the flank. This isn't gonna do too well, but that's to be expected. Saving some storms here. Motive able to bust back out and can retreat back across the map. Still has not yet taken a high ground base like the bottom left or the top right. So, you know, there's potential here for Larva to start taking the base up here. Start taking this main. And with this big power spike, as all the upgrades finish and he gets defilers out on the map, take this into a much longer game. Still no Ling speed, by the way, which is kind of funny. Just thought I'd mention. I don't think he's got Ling speed. Okay, maybe he does, actually. Maybe that just finished. Or maybe the Lings were, like, stuck behind something and they weren't able to run their full speed. That's potentially possible. But he's got Ling attack speed, that's for sure. Adrenal glands is done. And 1-1 is also finished, so that's very good. He hasn't started 2-2 yet, but he started +3 missile attacks. So I think that's just a mistake. Okay, there's the +2 carapace and +2 attack as well. So that's very good. Got to keep up with those upgrades if you want to get prepared for that late game. And Larva is all about that late game Zerg. He already has equivalent armor to the attack of the Protoss player, so this just makes the Lings survive so much longer against Zealots and Dragoons. They just can tank so much more damage, and the quicker you can reach parity with the Protoss upgrades, the better off you're going to be. Eventually you will reach parity once you get to 3-3, but generally speaking, the Protoss is just going to be ahead of you, and in fact, he will finish that +2 soon, which will give him a bit of a lead in that regard. Finally, he does throw down, like I was saying, 4 cannons over in bottom left and a gateway here, which is just exactly what you need to keep the Zerg player at bay, especially in the early game, early mid game. Once defilers are out, it becomes a little bit more complicated, but 1 storm, 2 storms, and 4 cannons will kill a ridiculous amount of Lings and Hydras trying to come up that tiny little ramp. Trying to push up this ramp. Looks like a no-go as well. High Templar here in the middle of the map. Getting a hot pickup. At least one of them makes it out alive. Base in the bottom center being taken. Larva slowly but surely growing out onto the map and taking it late. He's catching up in supply as well. So Motive going to be tested to the absolute limit of his late game control and decision making. Will he have Reavers in all the places that he needs them? Looks like he will have a Reaver here soon. Pushing in towards this base. Man, it looks tough, but oh, he's got 2 Reavers over at this location. Gonna help him to shove through this area. Where are the defilers? And of course, Plague gonna be essential for stopping an attack like this. Big surround is coming up here shortly, it looks like. He's preparing. Oh my god, these 2 Plagues are insane. Almost the entire army gets plagued there. At the same time, Larva setting himself up to shut this down here, and as the plague really takes effect, that's when the army starts to approach. These 2 Reavers are doing an excellent job, but without any observer. Okay, there's the observer coming forward. Maybe he can make a little bit more progress here with that observer now coming online. Does need to get rid of that spore colony, though. That thing is annoying. Pushing forward now. Gotta be really careful about the lurker spines. He could lose his Reavers if he's not really paying attention to that. Macroing up behind this, but it looks like the army will inevitably die. Yeah, these lurker spines are starting to hit the reavers, and eventually those will fall. Ooh, he manages to snipe the shuttle there. Excellent snipe by Larva, holding off this push and shutting it down before he can eliminate this base. Now it's time to get a little bit scrappy. Motive gonna build a ton of Archons. He's gonna have Reavers, and he's gonna be looking for Storm Drops. Storm Drops is the name of the game in the late stage PvZ. Try to fly in here, get a few kills. Really nice move there from Larva, though. Oh my gosh, he just shuts this down completely. That was beautiful. Jumping through the Nidus Canal just in the nick of time, shutting that down. Exactly how you want to do it. It's very hard to catch a shuttle with Scourge once they have that Graviton booster upgrade. And so popping through and surprising with Hydralisk is going to be your best bet for shutting those down. Now 70 workers. It's actually starting to look a little bit Larva favored. I know that this bottom left has been taken, and we're technically split map at this point in time, but I think Larva is showing he is no slouch in the late game. Like, he's very good at controlling all these units and getting absolute massive value out of everything. Probably gonna end up losing these lurkers. He has to cancel. Just gonna go ahead and fall back. Drop into the bottom left. 2 Reavers here, though. Even with the Dark Swarm, you're not gonna be able to do too much. Pretty much everything is dead that was once inside these Overlords, and so the Larva just gonna have to retreat. First drop unsuccessful down in bottom left. That's kind of crazy. How little damage that drop did with the Flying Defiler, a whole bunch of lurkers, hydras, and lings. You'd think you could get more done, but generally speaking, Zerg drops are not the greatest. Wow, this is a lot of stuff coming up from Larva. He's going to try to surround this army with all of these lurkers. In fact, manages to avoid a really devastating storm there on a big stack of lurkers by actually targeting down the Templar in that fight. Lurkers running forward even further, trying to get in range of these Archons. There's a great storm hitting triple lurker here up on the high ground. Reaver's going to do very well against this and continue to push this back as Larva macros up another round of units. There's only a few things that Larva can do now. He doesn't have a lot of options at this point, but he does have some. He can try to barrel down, kill this army, and attack into the main base. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is he can try to drop this bottom left. Or maybe break the bottom left down here. I mean, this doesn't really look breakable to me. This looks a lot more breakable. If he can start to load and unload units over here and then come in with a massive unload, blanket unload on top of this, he should be able to win that fight. He could also beat the army and break in. Killing the main base is another way to start to take the game away from a Protoss in this late stage. 4,000 minerals in the bank right now. Kind of typical for a Protoss player at this point in the game. 24 minutes in with this many bases. They're going to start to trade highly efficient. Make highly efficient trades. And they're going to stay maxed out for the most part. So banking up a bunch of money is not really a surprise. Some really good storms here. But Larva easily able to replenish those units. And he's actually at a supply lead now. Okay. Doesn't quite connect there. Army moving over towards the top right. This mineral only should go to Larva. He's actually trying to take this mineral, and it's really hard to hold that when there's You can have such an easy time just dropping over the wall. Oh, he gets both observers. That's big. Third observer here in the back line. Quite a few Hydras trying to run in here, but they're really not making any progress. And now the Archons are starting to attack this mineral line potentially. Another good storm over here. Another good storm on this side. It's so hard to control when your army is on, you know, 3 or 4 different screens. Looks like he will manage to save this hatchery. Or at least for the time being, because there are more zealots coming. More zealots on the way here. Potentially gonna just break right through this. No observer. No observer here actually allows Larva to clear. I was looking a bit dire there for a moment, but now he's probably going to survive. Get the Reaver. Okay, does get the Reaver shuttle. Finishes off the last few Archons. I really haven't seen too many drops on any of these bases. That was a pretty good move from Motive, but now it's time for a counterattack. 180 supply for Larva. Where will he choose to go with this army? Is he going to head for the main? That's kind of what it's looking like. Going directly towards the rally point and attempting to hit the main. Again, that's one way to give yourself a leg up over Protoss in a game like this. Big plague. Oh my gosh, what a plague. He really held on to that Defiler energy. Really good triggered discipline there from Larva, only to use that plague when the moment was right. Now diving on top of the Reavers. Very hard to keep them alive after they've been plagued. They've taken so much damage. Their shields will take full damage from these Hydralisks, and they do pop incredibly quick. A couple of lurkers in here, but there's really nowhere to land. Not with that many cannons, man. So many cannons at these bases. I'm sure that he's actually forgotten about the lurkers in there. Hasn't really been able to get anything done with those. Now Larva bringing forward yet another massive army. More and more lurkers being made. 2 more fresh Reavers in the mix. Can he get... Oh my gosh, he's just going to lose all the Reavers? Well, that's crazy. I wasn't expecting that. I thought he was going to do a lot more with those Reavers. He loses a bunch of High Templars as well. Oh my goodness. 1 Reaver left over. So quickly went from 4 to 1. You can get a Defiler over to this rally point and hit a plague on that. I think he might break the main. It's possible. So many zealots there. And the High Templar pop really quickly as well once they've been plagued. They really don't have that many shields. Get a plague down here. Not just yet. Looks like that will end up dead. Bit unfortunate there for Larva. 3 more Reavers making their way to the front line. Quite the tug of war over by this natural. Big plague here. Ooh, what a plague. The plagues this game have really been helping Larva to take this advantage. Still 6,000 minerals in the bank for Motive. But he's got a bit of a position out front of the Protoss Natural, and it's allowing him to get more and more plagues like this. Now going to make a move to the center left. He sees no High Templars over on this high ground, so he's just going to go for it. Try to kill this base. There's not a lot of minerals over there, so I'm not sure if this trade is really worthwhile. Running down onto the low ground, there's a plague on the Reavers. A lot of army coming out here to try and fight this, but storms land on big chunks of that stuff, and oh boy, drones are gonna have to be pulled. So much orange is coming up the map right now for Larva, but there is a ton of utility in this army. So many storms and reavers are available. Look at all the High Templars here. Each of them has like 2 or 3 storms available. It's just going to be able to throw them down. Basically, wherever army is clumped for the Zerg player, just immediately throws down a storm. Whenever there's any sort of aggression from Larva, and he's actually managed to nearly break this base. This base is so much more impactful than this base right here. And so it's a great trade, honestly, for Motive. Now, he looks like he's going to lose this whole army eventually. Eventually, he's going to get in here and finish off this army. But Larva lost a lot of supply to try and clean this up. And he lost that really critical base. Shuttle manages to make it back home. Oh, Lurker back here behind the mineral line. Not sure how many kills were there. Maybe a few. Maybe, you know, 6, 8 kills. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm choking on what I don't know. But 52 workers is still fine for Motive. It's almost time to start running out of minerals here. Mineral patches, I mean. He's not running out of minerals anytime soon. Larva is certainly running low on minerals, though. He really needs some more bases coming up here soon. In fact, he's mining off of this mineral only, which should not be allowed to happen. Motive not really paying attention to that. And so Larva kind of getting away with murder, taking this base. Like, you can just make a High Templar, send it over, storm, and kill half the drones. And unless Larva's paying full attention, he will lose a crazy amount of income over there. Falling back and just taking the best fights that he can. Larva taking some more of these bases, re-establishing these locations at the same, by the same token. Here's Motive trying to take this base. Okay, he spotted it now. He sees it. Won't allow that to stand for much longer. Drone's gonna have to evacuate. Hydras and Lings, Lurkers moving into position to try and shut this down. All right, he's diving on top. There's the big burrow, but two reavers show up here at the end, and look at this. He's just gonna blast this hatchery. Is this the end for Larva? Is he cooked? I feel like he's running pretty darn low on everything. Another round of zealots making its way over. Army moving northward. Looks like he's managed to isolate that Nexus center left, so at least he's got that going for him. Lurkers come here to the high ground. So he's able to wipe that out. But here comes the Reavers now, and the army is making its way forward as well. Just a lot of Hydras and Lings in this forest. Not looking good. Larva being forced all the way back once again, and now this base is kind of wide open. If maybe he could get a snipe on the shuttle, that might give him some help in actually dealing with this attack, but no. The shuttle's gonna live. Could only go after the observer. He does get the observer, so the lurker's gonna get a lot of damage. If he's targeting the reavers, he can do a lot. So he will target those down. A lot of drones die over here. And the army coming forward might just barely clear this up. It's certainly getting close here. He's got to run forward for the Reaver. Reaver goes down. This Lurker doing so much work. 9 kills on that, but huge amounts of damage throughout this fight. Regardless of the kills. Drone stuck back here. That's pretty funny. That's not supposed to happen. Lurkers caught in the middle of the map. Every unit is getting to be kind of a precious resource at this late stage in ZVP. You can't afford to throw away anything recklessly. As a few lurkers down here. Looks like these were sent because they were stormed earlier, taking a lot of damage. 142 supply to 167. Is that enough? 142, enough to hold back a 167. 183 now. Protoss army is spending a lot of that bank. And the bases are starting to run a little bit low. Let's see. He's hurting for minerals at least some of these bases. Coming forward here. Is this 6 Reavers? Oh my god, it is 6 Reavers. Holy cow, that's so many Reavers. No recourse for these Reavers when it comes to plague. No plague for this is a little bit scary. Having a hard time bringing the Reavers to bear in actually fighting this. He's got 2 observers. Maybe if he... Oh, I think Defiler just died there. That's unfortunate. He really needed to get a plague on this. Desperately needed a plague to try and hold this back. Motive slowly shoving forward. This hatchery doesn't seem like it'll stand, and in fact Larva knows it. He's going to give up on that base, try to fall back to a defensive position, a more defendable position. Lings just dying in mass, trying to surround over here. It looks like this did get plagued. Okay, some plague did go down. He's able to get a couple of Reavers, but the moment this base is lost, I think the game is over. Coming from behind with a bunch of lurkers, but it's not going to end up working. GG is called, and Motive takes this game, even going super late against Larva and managing to win. Pretty impressive stuff. He got the early game advantage and set himself up for the late game really handy way. I was afraid he was going to get overwhelmed by Larva. Once Larva had all the tools of the late game to start plaguing everything and just taking good trades with lots of multitasking, I thought that Larva would have the advantage, but you know what? Motive stood up really well for himself in this game. Game number 1. Okay, we will watch a couple more games. How about that? Let's jump into game number 2 here, guys. See if Larva can get a little bit of revenge. All right, here's our second game with Motive versus Larva, and I'm pretty impressed with Motive being able to take Larva into a long game, and managing to win is pretty impressive. It's one thing to, you know, get a huge advantage early, or, you know, get a quick win with a 2-base push or something like that. It's an entirely other thing to go up against an ASL champion in the late game and grind them down. Pretty impressive, especially against a player like Larva, who is well known for his late game Zerg play. Definitely some outstanding control from Motive. Now, what can he do here on Litmus? He's opened with a gateway out front, and he's looking to put on that early pressure. This map, I think, leans a lot more towards 2-base play. Those 2-base pushes are going to be a lot stronger on this map, I feel. And that's primarily because of the double gas. You just make so many Templar off of 2 bases. It's very hard for the Zerg player to keep up with the number of storms that are going to be coming out early. Of course, one nice thing here for Zerg is that you can go ahead and take these early bases and then just kind of bunker down. You can stretch out the creep, build a bunch of sunken colonies here in the natural. You can hold on high ground, and you can really bunker down your side of the map. And then it becomes pretty hard for either side to take the middle of the map, right? Bases through the midsection of the map are pretty tough. Protoss trying to expand towards the Zerg can be a little bit difficult. Hold on a second. May not be going that long. We still have to make it through this early game. Wow, killing 2 Lings here as they run by, but 4 managed to make it into the main. Bit of a mistake there must have been from Motive, who had a probe and 3 Zealots. Shouldn't have allowed any Lings to get by, but now he's in a bit of a precarious situation. Oh! Nice play there from Motive. Gets rid of both those Lings in a matter of seconds. And now should be able to clear this out. Yeah, he does. Wow. A lot of Lings are made for almost no damage. And now there's 2 Zealots over here at the 3rd. Another one heading in that direction. There's going to be a cannon started here in just a moment. No probe transfer just yet. He's making Lings and sending them straight across the map. All right. 1 Zealot gets sent directly back home. Where's that other Zealot? I thought there was another Zealot. Okay, there it is. Another Zealot over here. Oh, another one pops out. Oh, gosh. He just barely wasn't able to block in time. And so a lot of Lings are going to slip by here. More into the main. Zealots attacking the Lings over here at the 3rd. Cannon taking damage right now. Can he actually kill the cannon? Looks like he will be forced to cancel at the very least. Probes dying here in the main base. But the 3rd hatchery is taking a lot of damage. Uh-oh. This 3rd could end up falling. He's just going to target it. He's going for it. 80 HP, 60 HP, 55, 42, 28, 14, 1 HP. Oh my God, 1 HP. Oh man, it was so close. Just barely not able to get that kill. And so Larva will be able to continue to mine off of this and make use of the Larva here, and may even be able to throw down another hatchery at that location. Make sure that even if that does get sniped, it's not going to make as much of a big deal. That's crazy. He managed to keep that alive. Has his Spire on the way. Stargate. Not quite even finished up yet. That's wild. Okay, this could be a very quick game here. Oh my gosh. 2 probes? 2 probes coming in for the snipe? Nice try, buddy. There's already 25 HP on that hatchery, so 2 probes not quite gonna cut it, my friend. That's pretty funny, though, sending out 2 probes to go for the kill on the hatch. I think we're gonna see a bunch of Mutas and Lings, or Mutas and Scourge get made, and him just go for the kill. This Corsair is a bit too late. Motive almost had this game in the bag, I feel. Like, if he kills the 3rd, just make lots of cannons and make sure that you're safe, because you're light years ahead. But he's like trying to min-max a little bit, and he's about to get splattered. He's got no cannon in the main, and the Corsair finally comes through to scout. He sees what he's up against and starts some cannons in the main, but it's not going to be enough. Yeah, even catches that Corsair on its way back. 1 Corsair in the main is not going to cut it. These cannons will go down immediately, and so I think we're just going to see the GG. Yeah, not really too much you can do about that, my friend. It is here. Going after the cannons. Just make sure that they can't finish, and then you can turn onto the Corsair. And in fact, GG is called. Motive taps out, and that's a 2nd game in the bag. 2 games down, and what do we have here? It's another one. Motive over here at the top center. Larva at the center right. Gateway expansion once again. And something of an overpool from Larva. Definitely my build of choice when it comes to versus Protoss. Getting a little bit lucky there in that last game. Man, that hatchery was so freaking close to going down. What a funny moment that would have been if Motive actually got the kill with his probes. Probably wouldn't have mattered, even if those 2 probes on a mission there had managed to kill the hatchery. Probably we would have seen Larva still win that game, no problem. Because it doesn't solve the problem of mutas coming across the map immediately afterwards. Just slows down the larva. And yeah, gives Motive a bit of a better position, but he still was not prepared. He still did not have the Corsairs in time. Now, Larva coming out here, going to go ahead and grab that 3rd hatchery. 3rd hatch before gas, it's looking like. Zealot on its way. With 4 lings. That should be denied, and in fact, he will turn that around. No gas just yet, but it will be taken now, so not like a 4 hatch Hydra or anything like that, at least not for now. Larva opening relatively normal. Just the 4 lings going to be running around here and trying to force these zealots to stay back home. That's their main priority, is just make sure that Motive isn't able to just come out with these zealots. Threaten the run by. Keep Motive in a defensive posture while getting into this lair, most likely. Although he could try to Hydra Bus again. That's a possibility. If we can run by. Okay, jumping on top of the probe. Not able to get that, but gets 3 lings into the main. Not bad for Larva. Can certainly cause some disruption. And zealots are just sent directly across the map. I think he's going to make a bunch more lings here in a moment. Doesn't have a whole lot right now, but another 4 lings on the way. Ling speed is coming up as well. No lair that I'm seeing. Is he going to ling all in this? Oh, wait, there's the lair. Just started. So he went ling speed before lair. That's fine. That's fine. Not going to have the quickest Spire, but he might be able to delay the Corsair by a bit. Stopping the gas mining will help to make that happen. It's a lot of lings coming across the map. So, gonna start that cannon back at home. Definitely realizing that he's at threat of potentially being ling all in, even if he's not sure if it's coming or not. And it looks like it actually isn't coming. He's got to prepare for the worst. To prepare for the possibility that ling all in could be coming. These lings could come running back into the natural and maybe gun down this cannon. Yeah, I can put a lot of damage onto that cannon very quickly with these speedlings, and in fact puts enough onto it. He actually gets rid of the photon, or rid of the shields, excuse me, and the gateway goes down. That's a big loss. Losing the gateway is annoying. However, the tech is well on the way, and there's going to be a Corsair out here soon. Hasn't quite started that just yet, but should be getting that Corsair underway here in just a moment. Meanwhile, Spire on the way, nearly halfway done. Not the biggest drone saturation, but he's able to really focus on bumping up that drone count now. Managed to kill some of those zealots, and also the gateway, slowing down the zealot production means that he's relatively safe for the time being. Doesn't need to worry about pumping in a lot of lings for a moment here. Overlords trying to hide themselves out on the map. Corsair heading directly to this main base. We can see he's hiding all the overlords down in the bottom right hand corner, so it's gonna be hard for this Corsair to really get anything, any damage whatsoever. Next point is to immediately go and check the gases, make sure that there's not 3 gases here. Also wants to see this, of course. Hydralis Den is done. Seems like there might be a bit of cross-teching going on for Larva. Finally finds one Overlord. 2 pairs of Scourge and Overlord speed. It is looking like a bit of a cross stack. Larva may be going for a Hydralisk bust. That pre 9-minute Hydralisk timing. Hit around that 8-minute mark and just trying to bust right in. You can see a cannon going down in the main. He's just getting the Templar Archives online now. And I think Larva's going to start making Hydras indeed. Hydras are popping. This is extremely Soma-esque. And I for sure predicted that Zergs would start to catch on to this style of play. It looked so strong. So 100% that was going to start to catch on. He gets another kill on Overlord. That's actually kind of big. Ooh, nice snipe there. Corsair goes down. And the Corsair is kind of brutal. How many Hydras are popping out right now? Yeah, he is still making Hydras, but he's supply blocked. Supply block is pretty painful at a time like this. Get 1 Zealot. 5 Zealots moving across the map. I think if he just goes with the Hydras now, even if he has to fight the Zealots first, he should be able to make it to the natural before cannons are complete. All right, he starts cannons immediately upon seeing those Hydralisks, but will he be able to hold this bust? Still plenty of time left before the Storm upgrade finishes, but seems like Larva is a little bit behind the curve here, behind the 8-ball when it comes to this Hydra bust. You can see we're almost at that 9-minute mark, and there's no Overlord here either. Okay, Overlords are on the way. Gonna dive the cannons now. 1 DT in the mix is being a bit annoying, trying to slow everything down. More Hydras are arriving. Here comes the Overlord as well. Should be able to target down that DT here. Once the DT is gone, cannons are going to fall very quickly. Probes have been pulled. Doing his best to block up this entrance. Stop the bus in its tracks. There's the first storm. 1 storm goes down. He should have a second here in a moment. Just 10 more seconds for that next storm to come out. But he's lost quite a few probes. A bunch of cannons as well. Still retaining a pretty sizable worker lead. Gonna wait until the Hydras like rush forward to try and kill the cannons before casting that latest storm. That storm that just finished up here. Can't be too hasty with that. Gotta do it once the Hydras are fully committed. If he throws it out right now and Larva dodges, he could run forward here and start to gun down these cannons once again. There's a lot of Hydras behind this. He's still making Hydras, as a matter of fact. Runs forward and kills a Zealot. Now gonna go after a cannon there on the right-hand side. Is there any energy here for another storm? It doesn't look like it. Can jump on top of some of these cannons. 2 cannons suddenly have gone down, and more Hydras are coming in behind this. A lot of Overlords here. In fact, like all the Overlords are here right now. Basically, every Overlord on the map is at this front line. A couple more storms are about to come up. 2 more seconds on this storm right here. That's going to pop out in just a second. There it is. Storm goes down. Another storm is available. Lots of probes are going to start to fall, but he can just spread and split these Hydras pretty effectively against the minimal number of storms and no cannons to force the Hydras to clump up. Archon pops out down to just 41 probes. 34 drones behind this, so he actually droned up a little bit. But he's still putting on this Hydralisk pressure. Nice micro there to get rid of the Archon. Taking these small fights with just a few Zealots against a few Hydralisks is actually paying off for him. Targeting the Corsair here. Not able to get it just yet. Looks like he will finish that off now. More Overlords starting to fall. Got to target down this Corsair here in a second. Corsair gonna eventually supply block him if he allows that to keep attacking. 69 supply, or 60 out of 69 supply. This is the world's longest Hydralisk bust, I think. It's now nearly 12 minutes in, and he's still at threat of dying. Still almost gonna die here to this Hydralist bust. Might be able to find those overlords in the bottom right-hand corner. In fact, will not. Hydra's moving around the outside. He's actually expecting some sort of drop, maybe? I'm not sure where these Hydralists are headed right now. Finally, it appears that the bust has subsided. Is no longer going to be persisting with that. There's only these 2 High Templar, though. And they don't have energy for Storm. Now third one going to join. Maybe not the greatest idea to keep this going. So he's actually opted for more drone production. Equivalent worker count now means that Larva comes out a little bit ahead in this trade, it seems. We'll be getting this upgrade online here in just a moment. And +1 attack, air attack as well. 8 mutas coming. Ooh, I like Larva's chances. I really like Larva's chances in this game. In fact, he's ahead in supply. It'll be very tough for Motive to find a way to win this fight now. Trying to push out, trying to shove back the Zerg. But a 4th base will be taken here in just a moment, and there's a high likelihood that we see Larva snipe every High Templar and him just win this game. There's not much anti-air to speak of on the map right now for Motive. Oh, he catches about 4 or 5 Hydras. That's something, I guess. Time to spread the Overlords. Larva going to spread out all over this left-hand side of the map. Make sure that he's got full coverage, vision coverage on everything. Dragoon's out now, but this is so many mutas. 11 mutas. It's not going to be easy to fight 11 mutas, even with Dragoons. And so he's just going to go after the cannons now. Start to pick away at the probes. Surprised that 1 muta went down there. Funny, he must have been targeting it. I'm not sure. Starting to pick off a few Dragoons here and there as well. A lot more probes are going to start to fall. Zealots are counterattacking, but there's tons of Hydras here ready to fight. Yeah, it's not going to work out too well either. A storm. From where? I guess from this guy. Up on the high ground. But Larva's just running away with this game, man. I don't know how you can win here as Motive. Motive back against the wall. What's the play? Just build more Dragoons and go for an attack? I think he's got to go for it. I mean, he's so far behind now. Yeah, this game is just about over. Let's see if he's able to finish it cleanly here at the end. Looking for those High Templar snipes. Good dodge. 1 High Templar here. Okay, another pretty fantastic dodge. Starting to take a lot of damage. Dodging pretty well, but every time, a little bit of chip here and there. Nice snipe on the probe. Really smart stuff from Larva. Just knows how to put the punishment onto this Protoss player who's already quite far behind. 12 lurkers coming up as well. Not sure where we're at in terms of an observer. Yeah, I don't see an observatory, but he's got the robo. Observatory doesn't take that long to make. All right, that didn't go so well. He lost almost all the mutas, and he only killed 1 High Templar. If he doesn't capitalize on all the force storms, then it doesn't really matter that he forced storms. If he can't fight the army immediately after, then they're just going to regain that energy eventually. So this is pretty good defense for Motive. But the army is so big. 30 supply advantage for the Zerg player is kind of astronomical. It's really a numbers game at this point. He's going to run right up on top of this army. do the best surround that he can with all of these lurkers, and man, everything just vaporized. Holy cow. +2 is done, by the way. +2 on those lurkers just melts the zealots away. And the Hydras can push forward. Yeah, Lurker's going to set up right in front of this, or is he going to run straight in? Oh my god. Well, this is a bit greasy, but he's going to get on top of the cannons now. And even this flank for Motive probably won't go too well. Ooh, High Templar coming up the ramp, getting minced by the spines. And I think we're about to see GG. There it is. He taps out Motive. Not able to win this game, and that's the end of our series, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. That was pretty good. There's some fun games in there. I'm a little bit more excited about Motive than I am about Paralyze, honestly. If you guys didn't see, I posted a Paralyze versus Speed series. I posted that for free on my Patreon. If you guys want to go check it out, you don't need to subscribe or anything. You just go over there and watch it for free. It wasn't as good as I wanted, or as I was hoping. And usually when the series kind of underwhelm, I just throw them in the trash and I don't ever release them. But I've been encouraged recently by fans to start releasing those anyways. So I thought, you know what? I'll start releasing those on Patreon instead as a free kind of bonus for anyone who checks out the Patreon page. Again, you don't have to give any money to watch that series and other series that I'm going to be posting there that are just kind of like throwaway games that I decided not to post on the YouTube channel, but you can go over there and check it out and enjoy those games, the ones that I thought were not quite good enough. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for everything, and I'll see you in the next one.